Last week, the date hit 12/12/12. A lot of people made a big deal out of this, even though it's really insignificant for several reasons. The biggest of which is that it was actually 12/12/2012. And really, the Gregorian calendar and all calendars are just kind of, we just pick a time and we start it. It's not like 0 or January 1st. 1 was the beginning of the world, so it's insignificant. But one thing it is, it's a memorable date. So I decided on 12/12/12 that if I ever traveled time and was able to come back and visit myself, I was going to come back and visit myself on 12/12/12. Much to my chagrin, I did not show up. There was no knock at my door. I didn't come visit myself at work. I didn't even get a call. So, it's a little disappointing. And I was thinking about that. Why didn't I come visit myself? Well, there are a number of possibilities. There are a few things I need to discuss beforehand, though. First of all, what is time travel? Well, that's a really good question, actually. Time, as we know, is a dimension, just like space. So my hand is traveling through space, but my hand is also traveling through time, but fortunately at the same speed that the rest of me is traveling through time and everything around me. We can accelerate and slow down that speed. We have yet to figure out how to reverse it, though scientifically, it's often argued that it's possible. I'm no expert on these things. I'm not here to talk about that. Other people much smarter than me have talked about that on YouTube, I'm sure, and you can find things all over the internet. You can find books. I'm not going to talk about that right now. And also my reasons assume 3 things. As I said, it's assumed to be possible. It's plausible is what I should say. It's plausible. It is not proven impossible. So we assume that it is indeed possible, not just plausible. Number 2, I assume that we discover how to do it within my lifetime. If I'm dead when we discover how to do it, then it's obvious why I didn't travel back in time. And number 3, I assume that I get to do it. I mean, I am not famous, and chances are I'll never become famous. I mean, if we're traveling back in time, who knows? They might send somebody like, Kanye West. He could get up there and take the mic and be like, listen, I know that, man, I should have thought of a good joke before I started this. I know this Churchill guy is smart, but everybody give it up for FDR. Kanye West. So anyway, assuming those 3 things, why don't I come back and visit myself on 12/12/12? I have 5 main reasons. Number 1, I forgot 12/12/12. I came and visited myself on 12/13/14, or January 17th, 2036, whatever. I forget a lot of things. I might have just forgotten when to do it, or forgot where I lived at the time, forgot where I worked, forgot my phone number. I forget things. It's true. Number 2, time travel might be very limited by the government. I mean, you can do a lot with time travel. You can go back in time and, change the effects of the past. Imagine what would happen if you showed up, at the battle that 300 is based on, with a gun. Okay, that's going to change things. Imagine what would happen if, don't you hate it when you can't think of somebody's name? Genghis Khan was coming into China and just shot him, Number 3, spatial and temporal limitations. I can get up and walk this way, but I'm not going to make it very far before I run into a wall. And we kind of assume that time travel is open, that there are no limits in time, no temporal walls. That's not necessarily the case. So maybe I just couldn't get to myself. Especially because as we're moving through time, we're also moving through space. So, yeah, who knows what's, like, in my way that I couldn't get around. And also, with this, most likely, time machines aren't something that just, like, everyone is going to have, at least not during my lifetime. Like, I picture it kind of being the same availability as, like, an airplane at best. And, I mean, I can call up Delta and be like, hey, I want to go to Chicago. And I can buy a ticket to fly into O'Hare. But I can't be like, oh yeah, can you land that plane in Wrigley Field instead? Like, there are limits on where I can fly to. So who knows? Are they going to go back to 12-12-12? Probably not. It was really an insignificant day. So I'm sure there's limits on where I can get to. Number 4. The great Dr. Emmett Brown, who is, man, he taught me a lot about time travel. The great Dr. Emmett Brown told Marty McFly not to let himself see himself, not to let past Marty McFly see present Marty McFly. And present Marty McFly couldn't see future Marty McFly because he'd just freak out and tons of things could happen. Worst case scenario, it would cause a singularity, resulting in a black hole, resulting in the destruction of the universe. I don't think that would happen, but like I said, I'm no expert on these things. Yeah, man, Dr. Emmett Brown. A lot of you are like, oh great, he's talking about Back to the Future. But let me just point out that Carl Sagan cited Back to the Future as his favorite movie because it did time travel correctly. Just saying, it's a great movie. It's my favorite trilogy. I'm sorry, Star Wars. I'm sorry, Indiana Jones. Yes, I know there are 6 Star Wars movies, and I know there are 4 Indiana Jones movies. I still consider them trilogies because, you know, there were 3 of both, and still should be. I'm just saying. And the final reason why I have on my list of reasons I possibly did not travel back to visit myself on 12-12-12 is that I just didn't want to affect the past that much. Think about the scene in Back to the Future. I'm sorry, I'm going to keep talking about it. Think about the scene in Back to the Future where Marty gets the sports almanac to give to himself, and Biff ends up with the sports almanac. Or is he giving it to George? Anyway, Biff ends up with the sports almanac. Biff gets filthy rich, and yeah, it's a mess. That's called the butterfly effect. A butterfly flapping its wings in Japan affects the weather here in Seattle. How much would the butterfly effect really affect time? How much are little differences menial? You know? I don't know. I can't know. And who knows what major things I could have, like, altered. You know, I could be like, oh, you know that girl Susie Q? Yeah, you should ask her out, because, yeah, trust me, you need to. Because otherwise, like, the two of you aren't going to get married for, like, 10 more years, and things will, I don't know. And I mean, things would be very different if I were to get married now instead of, let's see, in 10 years I'll be 41. Things would be different. The butterfly effect. So yeah, that's 5 good reasons why I might have not visited myself on 12-12-12. I'm sure there are other good reasons. If you have a good reason why I did not visit myself on 12-12-12, leave me a comment and tell me. Or leave it as a post on my Facebook page, okay? Fan me on Facebook. The link is in the description. Also a link to my blog. Link right here to subscribe to get all of my videos as soon as they come out. So yeah, comment. fan on Facebook, blog, subscribe. All right, see ya.